Heyo, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host and devilish, bone-covered compatriot, Larry the Chupacabra, and we have returned for some more Grav here today. And as you may have guessed and can probably see, there have been some major upgrades to the base, and we've also relocated. Or, yeah, Ronzo's here with me now. We brought him to the new island, full of so much voluptuous murder. And now we're kind of in a nice, safe place, well away from the various riffraff that used to fill the server. And no, it's good stuff. We've flown to the other side of the map where almost nobody has built anything. And I've set up shop in this lovely canyon full of giant stone tentacle talon things. And life has never been more relaxing and pleasant. I've upgraded my gear. I've upgraded the base significantly, thanks to the system that was put in place just as I started playing Grav and recording it at the same time. And that is, as you don't play this game for periods of time, you, basically your stuff starts to decay, and eventually it becomes unclaimed, and some random person like me can run up to an object that is, been abandoned, and then tell it to self-destruct, and I can recover all of the fancy goodies from it. So I did that to a bunch of the stuff in the spawn zone, and kind of devoided it of a great chunk of its machines, and then I took all those stolen resources and moved here. And as I'm saying this, I've hopefully overlaid a clip explaining all of this when, like, I'm descending from upper orbit onto this island. And it's a cool island. It's full of much different terrain that we didn't get a chance to see before. And I suppose I'll take you for a little look-see after I sort of explain how the base works. So, the base is a giant murder brick made out of stone and shielded with those electric shield generators. And it's surrounded by a laser fence that'll cut your head off. And if that's not enough of a deterrent, it is guarded by automated gun turrets that are upgraded a bit and filled to brimming with bullets. And then just to make sure nobody can stand way out of here and shoot at the base from, like, maximum range, I've installed this lovely bubble shield, which will prevent that from being a thing. Now, I don't think that's necessarily what the bubble shield is typically used for, but that is what we are using it for. And so inside of the base is more gun turrets to keep the riffraff out, some doors, and then here is my workshop where I manufacture things like my fancy new ore sword, which is a grand step up from the old wooden fencing rifle. We've got our culinary station and a bunch of shield generators so that no one can fuck with this place. It's a good time. And then upstairs we've got our lovely portals that take us to the moon and to planets. And then down here, if I don't screw it up by jumping into the wrong place, I have sort of sequestered my power generator and uplink over here in the corner, so that they're easy to get to if you know they're over here, but you can't just sneak through and kill it. Because the problem I had over there was I stole that guy's car, that dune buggy, and people were coming in constantly shooting up my generator to disable those gun turrets, and then, oh, Diana Rhea is inviting me to play Zombocoms. They would come and they'd disable the gun turrets, trash the base, and then steal the car, and I recovered the car on 5 different occasions, got tired of recovering the car, shot the car, made the car explode, torched the last guy's base who stole it, and then decided to leave that area. And I had to go back for Ronzo. But yeah, I've definitely done quite a bit of farming to level up in the interim. And yeah, it's been an experience, to say the least. So let's grab this element X, and we will go on a little tour. of the whole place. I'll hit 9, I'll activate the old fancy jetpack, and we'll go for a sightseeing tour. There's a big fancy tech hunter, and this whole area, there's a couple different terrains. There's a lot of these, like, floating moons over this area, and there's a couple of different dungeons, but mostly it's about the same stuff. Not a lot changes until you start to go off-world, but I figured I'd take a chance in this return episode, because it's been a little while since I made those first episodes, and trying to kind of, like, figure out stuff and get to the point where people aren't constantly trying to grief my base, which, it's useful that a lot of people have kind of abandoned this server lately, that almost nobody plays on it. Which makes it handy, because I used to have a bunch of skulls surrounding my character. And that's awkward when you're trying to be friendly with the natives. They're like, have you been murdering people, Mr. Chupacabra? Because that's kind of rude, man. You're not supposed to do that. Oh, get out of here, bomb boy. Frickin' those spider bombs just kind of spawn, and the only thing they do is they run up to you, turn into a bomb, and then explode. It's their only goal in life. And I don't necessarily agree with that life choice. So, there's more of the similar types of caves over here on this island. It seems like you really only have, like, 2 different kinds. One that's basically like a narrow chasm, like you're in a crack inside of, like, the Grand Canyon. And then you've also got these, like, full-on caverns full of plants and big fungal growths and stuff. And there's also another one of those set dungeons out here. I don't know if that indicates anything or what, but it's there, so, you know, whatever. They're good to farm, because you always need, like, gems and ore and stuff, so that's pretty helpful. And then occasionally you need, like, body parts from slimes. But once you get to around this level, around like 20, 24, random body parts from your enemies become less of a necessity and more of just like a nuisance that can be gotten around using stem cells and fetal tissue and the skulls of my enemies. It's good stuff, it really is. There's not a lot to say about these dungeons. They're just kinda here, so we're gonna jump out of here. I just thought I'd kind of refresh everyone's memory. Also, there's another kind of ore in these dungeons. There's like, it's ore that looks like chunks of metal instead of like a magical blob. It looks like it melted on the ground. So, go figure. It's all kinds of fancy. But yeah, I've definitely had quite a few major upgrades to the old arsenal. I've even got a machine gun now. Finally got the last of the materials I needed as far as skulls go, so that I could finish out crafting this sucker, because there were no day killer monsters back at the original spawn island that was all blue and frigid, so I couldn't get any day killer skulls. But there's a device called like a matter condenser, and it allows you to create body parts of certain, like, creatures that are hard to get out of a bunch of other stuff, like stem cells that you get from the slimes. Because I guess slimes just kind of turn into whatever the heck they want, and it's a little odd. But there is that. We're gonna turn off our jetpack, get in the old wingsuit, and we are gonna go to the moon. Doesn't that sound exciting, everybody? Oh, sure it does. We will, we'll come on up here. Always remember, before you go to the moon, take a poop, so that, you don't have to shit in transwarp, and let's go to the moon. There are several different kinds of moons that you can go to, even on just one server, and they swap or cycle randomly throughout the day, and we're gonna go to one of them right now. Okay, so we've made it to the moon, but we have a little bit of a problem, and that is, I'm sure you've noticed there is a pair of lungs on the screen, down next to my health bar. The moon does not have the oxygen our bodies so desperately crave, and that can be a bit of a problem, considering we need the oxygens to live. So, there's one major way around that, and that involves that bubble shield that we previewed before. And you might notice, if you look around here, that there are a number of, like, abandoned bubble shields kind of lurking around. So, you could build your own bubble shield if you've just come here. That's certainly not out of the ordinary. Or you could just run up to one of these other ones that's already kind of here, and you can just plunk down a spare generator. Let's see, I'm on a generator. And pop some wood in it. Let's fill this one up for about 4 hours. And then you can borrow this bubble shield, and it will provide you with oxygen. So that's how you get past the old I'm dying on the moon problem. It's not your average problem, I will admit. And I think I need to turn the Wi-Fi off of my phone because it's downloading some updates and lagging out my internet connection. But, there is one very notable thing that you get here on the moon. And it's these big craters full of cream soda. And that is plasma. So you start to get plasma on the moon, and they drop bits of special plasma, plasma something 1000, and that's used to craft the main armor that will help you breathe on the moon, which is plasma armor. It's the next step up of fossil armor, which is what I'm wearing right now, and it lets you breathe up here. And funny enough, when I first came to the moon, which I should have come to the moon a long time ago, the moon is for like levels 12 to 16, and I came here at level 20, and I didn't have much to do up here because, you know, this thing's like level 12. This bug dog, this moonlit bug creature. And also a bunch of tech hunters. So I guess it kind of makes sense that a lot of alien species would be out in space, most notably the moon. And there's a lot of tech hunters, and there's also these weird guardian creatures that exist up here. And so there's one mechanic I haven't really figured out going forward in this game, and that has been to claim a zone in this game, you need to create an area totem, and an area totem is created using a bajillion artifacts. Artifacts, they drop from these guardian creatures or world artifacts, and there's like a lore that's sort of like hidden in the background of this game, it's just they don't have any interface to reveal it yet. So I haven't really figured that out yet. But the guardian creatures, they're kind of like these weird burly guys with like spacesuits, and they're just like a brain inside of a spacesuit. And I found back near our old base, I found one of these giant spheres, these metal spheres that function as world artifacts. And then like when you try to decrypt one of them with an artifact decryptor, then a bunch of those guardians spawn and they start to like stomp on you and try to kill you. Haven't really figured out what their dealio is yet. But, they look kind of funny, and I've farmed a few of them so far. And they do randomly appear on the moon, so hopefully, in this episode or the next episode, we can find one. Because they're sort of fancy. A few people have attempted to build on the moon, which I feel like that's kind of like a tricky proposition. Because, like I was saying before, the moon cycles. It cycles through multiple iterations of itself, and it's not always the same moon. So let's pop some oxygen, and I am actually going to put on my plasma armor, because I've already made some plasma armor, so there's not really a lot of point in me not wearing it. And it actually looks like a proper spacesuit, so that's kind of handy. And the nice thing is, it's kind of like, its set bonus is that it lets you breathe on the moon. Or lets you breathe in anywhere that doesn't have, like, oxygen inherent in the area. And I pretty much just skipped straight from wood armor to fossil armor, and then fossil armor to plasma armor, thanks to a gentleman by the name of M.F. Thatherton, who was just like, hey, you, Mr. Chupacabra Man, who was asking me questions about how some of the stuff in the game works earlier. Would you like my old plasma armor? I've made fancier specialty armor, and I think you maybe would like some. And so, he's one of the only people that I've met who hasn't tried to shoot me, or I haven't had to shoot. So, that was a unique experience on this server. Yeah, it's different. It is differenty. So that's where this episode's gonna leave off, everybody. Join me again next time where we explore more parts of the moon, go into a moon dungeon, and see if we can't find and piss off a guardian. So yeah, till next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Have a good one, guys.